So, talking about poo and constipation is kind of funny because it's really taboo. Hey guys, Lauren Vandermast here with Refresh Health, coming to you from my clinic, my new space, with my awesome chair, epic bird of paradise, and a macrame wall hanging, which is funny because never in my life did I ever think that I would have own a piece of macrame anything, because I didn't like it. But it has grown on me. I really like this. It's quite big. Anyway, today I want to talk to you about, well, not so much talk to you about constipation. I want to talk about my story with constipation. Also a topic which I was never really sure if that was something that I would share with my clients or my audience. But since I have moved into colon hydrotherapy and detoxing and cleansing the body, it's rather relevant. So talking about poo and constipation is kind of funny because it's really taboo. It's not really something that you like to share with people, but I say it's funny because we'll happily share all sorts of other details from like periods, and we'll happily share like, you know, hangovers and vomiting, and which is something that totally grosses me out. We'll happily share, you know, all sorts of images on TV and whatever, but poo is just like, people don't like talking about poo. And constipation being one of those things. So as I go through my story, I'm going to be talking about some things that helped me, some things that didn't. It's not really about me prescribing something for constipation. It's just my story. And it's relevant too because it's what led me to doing colonics. So I was a pretty regular kind of person, totally fine until I was 16, and I became constipated and felt incredibly nauseous. It was a horrible feeling. And just before I go into that, a few things happened before this happened. First of all, I was already a stressed person with anxiety. Second of all, I had recently been sexually assaulted, and I had also recently had a water skiing accident, which, you know, even now I still have damage in my lumbar spine. All three things could have caused it, I guess, in the beginning. My diet also wasn't very good. Lots of things happened. But, you know, I can't pinpoint anything there, but I do know, sort of as I share this story, that stress definitely played a part in the early years. But then as my gut health and my health in general declined, I don't feel like stress in and of itself was a factor as to whether or not I was constipated. Definitely through my early 20s, but now sort of late 20s, early 30s, I don't think so. So anyway, I became constipated, and of course I got sent to the doctor. They gave me a laxative. Take this, you'll poo tomorrow. Great. Take the laxative, doesn't work. Take it again. Next day, didn't work. Go back to the doctor. Oh, okay. Take this laxative. Okay. Go home, try it, didn't work. Try the next day, didn't work. Go back to the doctor. Take this different laxative, and this time if it doesn't work, like in 24 hours, come back the next day. Take it, doesn't work, go back. Finally, they gave me a laxative that did make me go. I believe it was called Agorol. I remember that bottle of what it was, and it worked. I went to the toilet, and then of course they said, you know, you need to be careful coming off the laxative. You want to decrease your dosage as you come off, which I did, and I was going again, and all was good. But ever since then, I would sometimes become constipated. I wouldn't go jump back on the laxative. I knew, and I had been warned that, you know, taking laxatives makes your bowel lazy, and that's not really something that you want to continue doing, especially when I was 16 years old. Oh, sorry, I'm just going to pause the button right there. When I first went to the doctors, along with saying, take that laxative, they're like, oh, you probably don't drink enough water. You need to drink at least 2 liters a day. Yeah, I drink 2 liters a day. Oh, maybe you're not eating enough fruit and veg. You need to eat this much fruit and this much veg. I'm like, I eat more fruit and veg than that. And they're like, oh, maybe you need to exercise. I'm like, God, I do sport every single day of the week. So the things that they were saying, okay, you need to drink water, you need to eat better, and you need to move, were already things that I was doing. And then the laxatives came. Where was I? So yes, I took the laxative. I probably had a full dose, like once or twice, like the first and second day, to make sure I cleared everything out and then eased off. And then I'd be fine for ages. And then I'd get constipated again, but I wouldn't take the laxative straight away. I would wait just to see maybe if I just skipped a day. And then when it was clear that I was constipated, I would take it again, maybe a full dose, 1 to 2 days, clear the system, and then ease back off. And then every time I'd have, the laxative and then ease back off, that's quite a few days there that I was taking a laxative. So this went on for a long time, years. And then sort of like, I think my early 20s, and I think my stress increased and all that kind of stuff. And I just actually really did just become constipated, and laxative just wouldn't work. It was about this time also that I started seeing a naturopath. And what was really interesting with all the natural therapists that I saw in my early years was that I would say, I've got this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem, and they'd pick up a few problems by looking at me, and then I'd also say, and like stupidly constipated, man, like I seriously need to poo and I can't poo. And what was interesting, and it's a thing that I've looked back in hindsight over the last couple of years, is that they never prioritize the constipation. They're always like, oh, we want to treat your nutrient deficiency and this and this and this and this. And, I do the things that they told me and never get the results, but they didn't see the constipation as a priority. The amount of research I have done, over the last couple of years on heavy metal toxicity and, all these sorts of things that we're toxins that we're exposed to, and the need to detox them, which is why I say I do colon hydrotherapy and cleansing and detoxing. You need to poo every day. It is a top priority that you go to the toilet, and you take your bowel motions incredibly seriously. You can have all your little jokes about fighting and all that kind of stuff. We certainly have fun with that stuff at home in our family, but pooing that's a good thing that you need to do. And I really want to stress that, because I guess I've become aware over my life that people don't realize that. People, I think, have you ever heard, like back in the old days when girls didn't know they were going to get a period, and if for some reason a girl didn't menstruate at all, they would say she was dainty, she was too dainty for that. And I think sometimes people think that if they don't go to the toilet every day, they must be just like a little bit more pris or a little bit more daintier than other people. No, you need to poo every day. Just saying. Okay, so the constipation got worse. I wasn't pooing, seeing natural people, like therapists of different sorts, and they, like the chiropractors would try to adjust my back to help, and that would work for 1 or 2 days, and then my back would go out again. I definitely noticed if I was a little less stressed than normal at that time in my life, that would help as well, but I was never able to maintain that. And then the naturopaths would give me natural laxatives like senna and I don't know, whatever else they gave me. And they would all have the same effect as the original laxatives that the doctors would give me, which is I would go for 1 or 2 days and then it would stop working. So I was left constipated. This went on for a really long time, And then when I was 26, I think, guess what? I had appendicitis. Now, for me, again, I can't prove it. It's only hindsight. I do believe that I had appendicitis because I was chronically constipated for 10 years. And then, I had my appendix taken out and I really started feeling seriously ill. And I was going to the doctors. I'm telling them, I think I'm constipated, because at this point, I think I was going every day, but not a lot. And even with me telling them I'm constipated, or I'm not sure what's going on here. They still couldn't pick it up. And then finally they did an x-ray and they're like, whoa, you've got some problems. I'm like, yes, I've been trying to tell you this. And I said, laxatives don't work. So they sent me to a gastroenterologist. That was the biggest waste of time and money, one of the biggest wastes of time and money that I've ever done in regards to my health, because I went in, I shared my story with this guy, I talked about my lower back issue, I talked about stress, and I said, laxatives don't work for me. Guess what he told me? He said, you need to find a laxative and stick to it for the rest of your life. And I'm like, are you mental? Did you not just hear me say laxatives don't work for me? Not to mention, I was like 26, 27, I think I might have been 27 when I went and saw him. And I'm like, I'm 27 years old. I can't live on a laxative like from 27 for the rest of my life. There's no way. I'm going to be like having body parts chopped out of me left, right, and center. It's not going to work. Then I mentioned to him colon hydrotherapy, and he just laughed and rolled his eyes. True story, he said it was bogus. Hold on to that thought, because we're going to come back to colon hydrotherapy. Now, another small pause button. I had one colonic when I was about 20. So I already knew what colon hydrotherapy was when I'd mentioned it to him. However, when I had the session, I didn't have a huge amount of results. Few trains of thought here. Generally speaking, if you're that chronically constipated and everything's very dry in there, you're just absorbing water so that you can, your colon wants to hydrate, and you might be, absorbing water into your fecal matter to soften it up so you can pass it. So sometimes they'll tell you, you might not get huge results on the first one, but it's good to have a few consecutive up front to get things softened up and moving for you. I also believe, just because I've had quite a few colonics now, is that it was the way they did the colonic. And I think I'll talk about that in another video. So anyway, this gastroenterologist went, here, take a bowel prep. That should just clear you out. Well, that was like one of the worst things I have ever done. It was an incredibly horrific experience. I remember, like a massive amount of stuff going on in my bowel, and so a lot had to come out. And I literally was going to the toilet and coming back out and sitting down or going back to bed, because it went on through the night till about 1 a.m. in the morning. I'd lay down, get comfy, and be like, oh, I have to go to the toilet again. Anyway, I did the bowel prep, and sure enough, a lot of things came out, but still chronically constipated. It wasn't enough. So then they thought they'd give me a second one, which I was that damn desperate at that point in time, and I felt that sick that even though I knew it wasn't a great thing to be taking, I just needed some relief. And then I fell pregnant, and apparently when you're pregnant, everyone's like, oh, we can't touch you, you're pregnant. You have to just wait 9 months. And I said, wait 9 months? Like, I'm constipated. And they're like, oh, we can't give you this and we can't give you that, and you can't do anything. You have to wait till the baby's out. Now, logistically speaking, if somebody is constipated, and we know pregnancies last 9 months, that is like an absurd thing to tell somebody, just wait till the baby's out. So you're saying don't shit for 9 months and everything's going to be okay. No. Thankfully, during my pregnancy, it was when I guess put out, I guess you could say I got more involved in a lot of the community where I was living, and started training a acupuncturist, Chinese, I don't know how you say it, traditional medicine herbalist lady. And she just one day went, you know what, Lauren? Oh, sorry. I couldn't eat through my pregnancy. Super ill. That's another story. I was very ill. I couldn't eat, couldn't poop. Wasn't a fun pregnancy. And she just went, you know what, Lauren, why don't we just give you a juice and see if you can stomach that? So she pulls out a juicer and she chucks all this stuff into it, and she gives me this juice, and lo and behold, I could stomach it. And she gave me an enormous glass. Also during my pregnancy, I had pretty much nutritional levels of 0, which is probably why I felt so ill. And I'd also been told by the doctors to take all the supplements to try and keep my levels from going any further, which they couldn't really because I was already at 0. But they told me that I couldn't increase my levels. So she gets me onto this juice, I can stomach it. I'm like, this is what I need to do. This is halfway through my pregnancy. So I went and bought a juicer, the same one she had, and I started juicing. Lots of things happened when I started juicing. First of all, I started going to the toilet every day. I became regular, reverse the constipation if you like, regular bowels. Such a great feeling. Like every day I'd go to the toilet, I'm like, yes, I have pooed. So juicing was a wonderful thing that helped me through that time. And not only, and the reason I brought up the juicing and the pregnancy and the nutritional deficiencies is because not only did it help me go to the toilet, it also helped me to raise my nutritional levels, specifically the ones the doctors said I wouldn't be able to do while I was pregnant, but I could. So I really feel like juicing really saved me at that time in my life. So I juiced for a couple of years until I kind of got a bit over it, I suppose. And, I shift between different things. I don't always do the same thing forever. Anyway, I was regular. I was fine. My health was still declining though, so I am going to say that. And then a couple of years later, let's say 3.5 years after that point in time, I got this really crazy, horrible gastro bug. And that bug and experience completely undid my bowels again. I went back to being constipated. I went back to juicing. It didn't work. And yeah, things were not fun for me. I tried doing enemas, but I really wasn't getting anywhere with them, although I have been using enemas since then, and they're a good thing to have on, like an enema kit to be able to use. And I remember speaking again to new naturopaths saying I need to have a colonic, but we couldn't find anybody at the time who was local to us. And then I spoke to another lady, another naturopath, and I said, I just feel like I need an incredible clean out. And I had used bentonite clay in my earlier years on a detox, and I really liked it. So she formulated this detox for me that involved bentonite clay, and instead of cleaning me out, it did the complete opposite, and then I really was in trouble. So bentonite clay can make you constipated, and it sure as heck caused me some incredible problems. But because it's like a binder to toxins, it mobilized those toxins in my system, and then they've come out ready to be evacuated, and then all of a sudden I couldn't do that. And I was not very well. That's detoxing. You got to be careful. I feel like there's a lot of, I don't want to say misinformation, but it's not fully understood. And I don't think, colon cleansing is really not given the light it deserves. Finally, we found someone who did colon hydrotherapy. She was new to the area and set up. And I went and had a colonic, and it was like the whole world had been lifted off my shoulders. I felt like a new person. All she said to me was, eat some papaya and up your slippery elm, and just take a teaspoon. She told me to take a tablespoon. And sure enough, after the one colonic and taking a tablespoon, I felt so much better, and after the colonic and then taking a tablespoon of slippery elm every day, I could go to the toilet every single day. Hooray, I was regular again. And so I started working with her with the colonics, and my health dramatically improved. And so the reason I guess I wanted to throw that in is, obviously that was my constipation story, but going to the toilet, I guess I learned throughout this time is a thing that has to happen. But I felt like, just with all the other things going on with my body, all the things that I'd been exposed to in my life, juicing in and of itself just to get me going to the toilet wasn't enough. The actual cleansing and the colon hydrotherapy is what really saved me. And I do literally feel that way. I feel like colon hydrotherapy has completely saved my life. And at that point in time, with what was going on with my health, there was definitely a dramatic improvement. Now, I still have a lot of symptoms of chronic fatigue, and we're working on those, but from a gut perspective, first time in my life, I have not been bloated. So I've had a flat stomach. I started doing the colons when I was 33. So up until the age of 33, bloated every single day. I wouldn't wear like things that were fitted or high-waisted or anything that would go around my stomach, because, you know, in the morning I'd be my normal size, and then, you know, give it a couple of hours, I could be anywhere between normal size and the equivalent to what I was when I was 4 months pregnant. So for the last 2 years, I think, 2 or 3 years, I have had a flat stomach, first time in my life, to experience that. And then obviously being able to go to the toilet and experiencing other health benefits as well. So that's my little story on constipation and my experience. Medical sort of path was not something that worked for me. It was also something that I felt I didn't want to do long term, especially at such a young age. That just seemed mental to me, like not a good idea. And yes, and now I'm here with my own colon hydrotherapy clinic. So there you go. Anyway, thanks for listening. I hope perhaps some of my story or the information I've shared is helpful to you, and I'll see you all again really soon.